Rain hit Lena Hartley's face as she stumbled down the marble steps, her suitcase dropping open and spilling clothes across the driveway. She bent to grab them, one hand clutching her stomach, the other trying to shove her belongings back into the bag, before another burst of thunder shook the night. "Come on, Lena. You don't have to drag this out," Adrian's voice snapped from the doorway. "Don't make this dramatic. You have to leave tonight." Lena's breath hitched as her breath fogged the air with the shock of what Adrian just told her. "You are sending me away now? In this storm?" Water dripped from her eyelashes as she stared at the man she had loved for 6 years. "You're throwing me out? Now?" "Adrian, I'm 7 months pregnant. That's not my problem anymore." His jaw tightened, and he wouldn't meet her eyes. "You knew this marriage died and done for a long time ago." "No," she cried, shaking her head. "I didn't. I thought we were trying to fix things. I thought, Adrian, please, just talk to me." A sharp click cut her off. Evelyn Cross, Adrian's mother, stepped outside, holding a large umbrella. "He doesn't owe you more discussion. You brought disgrace to this family with your constant dramatics and your inability to carry yourself with dignity. This family has no space for your emotional instability. Leave before you embarrass us further." "I'm pregnant, Evelyn," Lena said with her voice cracking. "Your grandchild deserves better than this." "Don't guilt-trip us," Evelyn snapped. "You were never fit for this family. Be grateful we let you stay this long." Lena's heart throbbed painfully. She clutched her suitcase handle, but her fingers slipped from the rein. "Where am I supposed to go?" "That's not our concern," Adrian said, already turning back into the warm glow of the house. "I'll have the divorce papers sent to you. Goodbye, Lena." They closed the door behind the moment she left. Just like that. Lena stared at the wooden frame until the shape blurred and the world swayed. She sank to her knees on the wet pavement, cradling her belly. Her daughter kicked gently, as if sensing her fear. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the life inside her. "I don't know what I'm going to do." A horn blared. A security guard in a raincoat pointed at her from the gate. "You can't stay on the property, Mrs. Hartley." Mrs. Hartley? Not anymore. With the thought of that, she raised herself, lifted her half-zipped suitcase, and forced her legs to move, one shaky step at a time, down the long driveway that once felt like home. When she reached the street, there were no taxis and no pedestrians either. It was just the heavy rain, and a street light shining like it might go out. She walked until her ankles ached and her lungs burned. When a bus finally approached, she lifted her hand weakly. It drove past her without stopping. Lena staggered to a covered bus bench and weakly sat down there as she was soaked to the bone. She wanted to scream for help or anything because she felt abandoned. But then exhaustion weighted her chest. A strange scraping sound made her look down, and then she saw a black duffel bag which was half hidden under the bench. She frowned. Had it been there before? She nudged it with her foot, and something heavy shifted inside. Too heavy for clothes, and at the same time, too solid for personal belongings. She hesitated for a while. Then curiosity overrode caution. She pulled the zipper open. Bundles of cash filled the bag, neatly stacked and band-wrapped. She felt overwhelmed with what she saw that her breath stopped. She touched one stack, expecting it to vanish, but it didn't. It stayed real, solid and cold against her fingertips. "Oh my God," she whispered. "What is this? Who left this here?" Lightning flashed, illuminating the empty street. But then, no one was in sight. No vehicles, no sound except the storm. Her mind raced at once. "Before we continue, tell us what time it is in your location and where you are watching from. Subscribe and get in fully because you would love to get more of these stories from us. She could leave it, she could call the police, or she could pretend she never saw it. But then she looked down at her belly, trembling. "I need to keep you safe," she murmured. "I can't bring you into the world like this." Her hands shook as she dragged the duffel bag closer. She zipped it shut, clutched the strap, and hoisted it onto her lap. The weight nearly knocked the air from her lungs. A bus approached from the opposite direction, slowing as it neared her. This time, it stopped, and then the doors opened. Lena stood, grabbed her suitcase, gripped the bag full of money, and stepped on board. The driver glanced at her dripping clothes. "Long night?" "You have no idea," she whispered in return. She paid in cash, just a few crumpled bills from her pocket, not the fortune in her lap, and found a seat in the back where no one would notice the trembling of her hands. 3 hours later, she got off in a small, forgotten town called Haddon Ridge, where nobody knew her name, her past, or her pregnancy scandal. She rented a tiny room at a rundown motel, paid for one night, and locked the door behind her. She didn't turn on the lights. She sat on the edge of the bed and finally let herself cry off the pain in her heart. The duffel bag lay on the floor, zipped shut. The next morning, she walked into a diner called the Maple Spoon. The smell of coffee and fried eggs hit her the moment she got in. A stocky cook behind the counter looked up and frowned. "You look like you haven't slept since the Civil War." Lena gave a tired smile. "Feels about right." "You need food?" he asked. She hesitated. "Do you hire dishwashers?" The cook blinked. "You want to work here?" "Yes, please. My name is—" She caught herself. She couldn't use Lena Hartley. Evelyn and Adrian would track her too easily. Nicole Hale. He studied her, and then something in his expression softened. "I'm Leo. Grab an apron. Ellie, our boss, likes people who show up ready." Lena followed him through the swinging doors, relief loosening her chest for the first time in days. For now, she had a name, a job, a tiny room, and then a chance to start all over again. But she also had something else, $10 million under her motel bed. And somewhere far behind her, someone was definitely missing it. Leo handed her a towel and pointed to a stack of dishes piled high beside the sink. "You good with standing on your feet for long stretches?" Nicole nodded. "I don't have much choice." "Fair enough. Shift ends at 3. Ellie will talk to you after." The sound of washing dishes and the likes of the warm water, clinking plates and the slight noise soothed her right. It drowned out the echoes of Evelyn's voice, Adrian's harsh words in her, the slamming door, the emptiness of the night she walked away from her old life. She worked quietly, breathing through the tightness in her lower back. 7 months pregnant was not kind on her spine, but she kept going. She needed this. The stability, even if it was fragile, that was everything to her. When the lunch rush hit, Ellie, the owner, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes, softened by kindness, came into the kitchen. "Leo, who's the new lady?" "She walked in here this morning and she said that she needed a job here." Leo shrugged. "She's fast, and she doesn't complain. By the way, her name is Nicole." Ellie studied Lena for a long moment. "You got ID, Nicole?" Lena stiffened. "I lost it. I'm getting a replacement for that." Ellie looked unconvinced, but not hostile. "You running from something?" Lena's breath caught. "Just trying to start over." Ellie exhaled through her nose. "Anyway, it's fine." She paused, then added, "If you want the job, it's yours. Cash pay until we figure things out. Don't disappear without telling me." "I won't," Lena said quickly. "Thank you. Don't thank me. Just show up tomorrow and every other day." Ellie walked away. Leo smirked. "I told you that she'd hire you. She's a softie under all that bark." Lena smiled tightly. "Thank you. I'm grateful for your kind gestures." But inside, anxiety gnawed her. This town was too small, and at the same time, too quiet. If anyone came looking, people would notice. But she had no other choice. Of course, not with a child coming, and again, not after what she'd endured. At the end of her shift, she came back to the motel room, locked the door, and checked the bag again, almost still unable to believe it all over again. As the zipper slid open like a whispered secret, the bundles of money stared back at her. As much as she knows, this is a fortune, a danger, and a lifeline. She closed it quickly, her heart racing. "We're safe," she murmured to her unborn daughter. "We just need time." Time, that's what she got for the next 2 weeks. Over time, she fell into a routine, which was, wake up, hide the money deeper under the floorboard, walk to the diner, work her shift, return home, rest. Then repeat the process, just that way. Leo offered her rides when he noticed her waddling more heavily. Ellie pretended not to watch her belly, but silently placed a bowl of free soup in front of her every night. For the first time, in a long while, Lena felt supported, until the day she saw the news. It was late evening, and the diner was nearly empty, when Leo turned the TV above the counter to a finance channel. The scrolling headline sent the coffee mug in Lena's hand crashing to the floor. Cross Dynamics Co. Adrian Cross under criminal investigation. Massive corporate funds missing, and also his mistress, Marissa Vale, also under scrutiny. Lena gripped the counter, and instantly her vision tunneled. Leo looked over. "You okay?" Yes, she said, too quickly, even before she understood exactly what Leo asked her. But then inside, her heart thundered. If Adrian was under investigation, if money was missing, if he believed she stole it. Her lungs squeezed. She looked at her reflection in the dark window. There she was, Nicole Hale, the invisible woman, or let's say, the ghost. No one knew her here. But if Adrian was cornered, he might run, and if he ran, he might look for her. That night, sleep didn't come close to her eyes. She tossed, turned, pressed her hand against her belly to calm her daughter's restless kicks. At one point she sat up, gripping the blanket. "What do I do if they find me?" she whispered. But the motel walls offered no answer to her. It was 3 days later when Haddon Ridge's fragile sense of safety shattered. She had just finished wiping down tables when the bell above the diner door rang out. Ellie didn't look up from her inventory sheet, but Lena froze when she heard a voice she never expected. "So this is where you've been hiding?" Her blood ran cold in a blink of an eye. Evelyn Cross stood in the doorway, her designer coat soaked through, her perfect hair ruined by rain, and her eyes wild with desperation. Ellie looked up sharply. "Can I help you? I'm here for her." Evelyn pointed at Lena with a trembling hand. "I need to speak with her, privately." Lena stepped backward, nearly bumping into a chair. How did you find me?" "I talked to people," Evelyn said. "I called everyone. Adrian is missing. My son is missing, and the authorities think he took everything. They think he fled. They think he's dangerous." Lena's throat tightened. "Why come to me with regards to that?" "Because he won't answer my calls," Evelyn whispered. "And you're the only one he ever—" She swallowed hard. "I need your help. Please." Ellie stepped between them. "Mom, you need to lower your voice. This is a place of business. But Evelyn ignored her. She moved closer to Lena, her voice shaking. Nicole Hale? Really? Hiding behind a fake name? After everything my son gave you? Lena flinched as the words hit her like stones. Adrian hadn't given her anything but scars. Please, Evelyn implored, her icy pride beginning to explode. If you know where Adrian is, if he contacted you, you have to tell me. They're saying horrible things about him already. They're saying he stole millions. Millions? Lena's fingers curled around the cloth in her hand. Under her bed lay the truth Evelyn was begging for. No, Lena whispered. He hasn't contacted me, and I don't know where he is. Evelyn's lips trembled, as though she might collapse. I didn't want to come here. I didn't want to beg. But I'm losing everything. Our home, our reputation, our company, my son. Lena's voice remained steady. I'm sorry for your pain, Evelyn, but you made your choices. Evelyn's eyes widened in disbelief. You heartless. Enough. Ellie stepped forward. She said that she doesn't know anything. So I think you just have to leave right now, and at least leave her alone. But Evelyn didn't move. Her face twisted into something resentful and grieving all at once. This isn't over, she whispered. If Adrian comes to you, and you hide him, you'll destroy us all. She stormed out, the door closing violently behind her. Ellie turned to Lena. You need to tell me what's going on. Lena inhaled shakily. I wish I could. Nicole, I can't, Lena whispered, tears burning down her eyes. Please, just don't ask me, Mom. Ellie saw the terror in her face and slowly nodded. For now, go home. Take tomorrow off. Lena left through the back door, her heart pounding. Her motel room felt colder than usual. She locked the door, checked the street through the blinds, then knelt beside the loose floorboard. She lifted it. The duffel bag stared back, and it all felt like a dark mouth full of consequences. Oh God, she whispered. What have I gotten myself into? Her daughter shifted under her ribs, soft but insistent, as if reminding her she wasn't alone. Lena wiped her eyes. I'll keep you safe, she promised. She didn't know those words would be tested before the night was even over. Lena barely slept. Every time thunder rolled, every time a car engine passed outside, she jolted awake, pressing her hand over her belly to calm the baby's anxious movements. She tried closing her eyes, but Evelyn's voice replayed in her skull, sharp and desperate. If Adrian comes to you, you'll destroy us all. She wrapped her arms around herself. I won't let anything hurt you, she whispered to her daughter. Not anymore. But as the wind rattled her window, she realized the truth. Danger wasn't coming, but it was already here. It was nearly midnight when she finally drifted into a restless sleep. She didn't stay asleep long before a soft thump echoed outside her door. Lena's eyes snapped open. Then she heard another thump, a scrape, then the sound of breathing. She held her breath, but her heart kept pounding. Slowly, she slid off the bed, one hand on her stomach, and the other reaching for the small torchlight by the bed. A shadow passed under the door, and she could bet that someone was standing right outside. Then again, her trembling fingers grabbed the fancy lamp cord, and she pulled it. Although it wasn't much of a weapon, but it was all she had for defense of attack. The doorknob twitched once, twice, and then turned fully. Lena gasped and stumbled back. The door didn't open. Thank God. She had locked the deadbolt. The intruder paused, but she could hear faint breathing through the thin motel wood. Then a low voice that sounded hoarse, almost broken, came through. Lena, open the door. Her blood froze. No. It couldn't be. She couldn't help it. but clamped a hand over her mouth. "Lena," the voice said again, rasping. "I know you're in there. I saw you earlier. Just open the door. We need to talk." Her heart hammered so violently, she thought she'd faint. She backed away, reaching for her phone, but her hands shook too much to unlock it. Adrian's shadow moved across the bottom crack of the door. "You've been busy," he muttered. "New job, new name, new life, running away from your mess. Your mess." He was unbelievable. Lena pressed her back to the opposite wall. "Go away," she whispered, too quietly for him to hear. "Please just go away." The doorknob jiggled again, harder this time. "I need your help," Adrian said. She almost laughed from sheer disbelief. He had thrown her out, replaced her, humiliated her, and now he needed her. "I know you don't want to talk to me," he continued, voice lower, angrier. "But you don't get to ignore me. Open the door." Lena swallowed hard and forced her voice out. "Leave. I'm calling the police." There was silence at first, but after a little hesitation, he snapped. "Oh, now you want the law involved?" Adrian's tone twisted. "Funny. Really funny." She gripped the lamp tighter. Adrian leaned against the door, voice cracking. "They think I stole company funds. They think I disappeared with the missing money. And I didn't, Lena. I swear I didn't." But she remembered the duffel bag under her floorboard, which made her feel heavy with the truth. She squeezed her eyes shut. "Open the door," he said. "Please. I have nowhere else to go." "You had a home," Lena whispered through the door, "and you threw me out of it." He pounded the door once, hard enough to shake the frame. "Don't do this. You don't understand. They're going to ruin me. And Marissa, she's trying to pin everything on me. I need time to figure things out. I need help. You need to leave," Lena said, voice trembling but firm. "You forfeited any right to ask me for anything." "Lena, no." Her voice rose. "You cheated. You betrayed me. You kicked me out while I was carrying your child, and now you come here pretending you're the victim?" There was a beat of silence, and then a long exhale. "You're right," Adrian said quietly. "But so are you. That money, the missing 10 million, they think I took it. If you saw anything, if you know anything, tell me." Lena stared at the floorboards under her bed, but she said nothing. His tone sharpened. "Do you know something about it?" "No," she forced out. "I don't." "You're lying," Adrian snapped. "I can hear it. Lena, don't make this worse." Her pulse spiked. "Leave before I scream." Another heavy silence stretched between them. Then Adrian spoke, lower than before. "Fine. Have it your way. But if I go down for this, I'm not going alone." Fear shot through her. His footsteps retreated, and the shadow disappeared from under the door. A car engine rumbled, but almost immediately it faded into the night. She waited and waited for a while. Only when she was sure he was gone did she sink to the floor and sob silently into her hands. The next morning, Leo knocked on her door. "Nicole, Ellie said you had the day off, but you weren't answering your phone. Wanted to make sure you're fine." Lena slightly opened the door. She must have looked terrible, as Leo's expression softened immediately. He set his eyes on her. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded weakly. "Just rough night. You look like you fought a tornado." He handed her a small brown bag. "I brought breakfast for you. Didn't know what you wanted, so I grabbed everything Ellie wouldn't yell at me for taking." Despite the fear clawing her insides, a shaky laugh escaped Lena's lips. "Thank you. If you need anything, you just have to call me," Leo said. "I mean that. You know, I am just a call away." When he left, Lena closed the door and leaned against it, her mind racing. Adrian had found where she lives, and maybe Evelyn might come back. The authorities might come next. Who knows? And she still had the money. She paced the small room as she felt some level of panic rising. "I can't stay here," she whispered. "I need a plan." But she had no plan at the moment, and it seems no idea was even coming to her head. Maybe she will let the universe decide for her. That afternoon, the motel's front desk phone rang. She overheard the manager's voice through the thin walls. "Room 12? No, haven't seen her leave today. Who's calling again?" Her stomach dropped. Whoever it was, they were asking about her. She grabbed her suitcase, stuffed it with her essentials, and pulled the duffel bag from under the floorboard. Her hands trembled violently. "I need to move now," she whispered to herself. She opened the door, looked left, then right, and there was no one in sight. So she stepped out and locked the door behind her. But as she turned toward the parking lot, a black sedan rolled in slowly, stopping near the office. The tinted back window slid down, and her heart plummeted. Evelyn sat inside, and their eyes met right away. Lena froze instantly. Evelyn's voice cut through the still air. "Get in the car, now!" Lena clutched her suitcase tighter, pulse roaring in her ears. "No," she said. Evelyn stepped out of the car, her desperation cracking through her. "Please, I don't want to fight with you, but you need to come with me. It's about Adrian." Lena swallowed hard. "What happened?" Evelyn wrung her hands. "He's been arrested." Lena's breath caught, but Evelyn wasn't finished. "And he told the authorities that you helped him." The world tilted under Lena's feet. Lena's pulse slammed against her ribs. "What do you mean he told them I helped him? I haven't seen him in months. Until last night." Evelyn stiffened. "So he did come to you." Lena cursed herself silently. "He showed up uninvited, but I told him to leave, and didn't even allow him in." Evelyn stepped closer, her voice thin and trembling. "The investigators think you helped him escape the city. They think you know where the money is. Lena, they're looking for you, too." Cold crawled up her spine. She staggered back a step, clutching her suitcase. "I didn't help him. I didn't take anything. I don't know anything about stolen money." Evelyn's eyes pierced her. "Are you sure?" The weight of the duffel bag in her hand felt like a burning secret. The money she found by accident now felt like a trap closing around her. "Evelyn, I swear." A car door slammed, interrupting her halfway. They both jerked toward the sound. A man in a dark suit crossed the parking lot, walking directly toward them with a badge clipped to his belt. Another investigator followed behind. Panic detonated in Lena's chest. Evelyn whispered urgently, "You need to run." Lena's breath hitched. "What?" "If they interrogate you right now, you'll break. You always break when you're scared." Evelyn grabbed her arm, shockingly gentle. "You're pregnant and you look terrified. They won't believe you. They think you're hiding something." Lena shook her head. "I have nothing to hide." Evelyn looked at the duffel bag. "Then why does that bag look so heavy?" Lena's heart jumped to her throat. She instinctively pulled it closer. "Clothes." Evelyn exhaled sharply, a mix of exasperation and fear. "For once in your life, listen. Go. Don't let them corner you." The investigators were 30 feet away, and how far can a heavily pregnant run? Just then, Leo's voice echoed suddenly from across the lot. "Nicole, you forgot your apron." He froze when he saw the scene. Lena looking pale, Evelyn standing right there too, then 2 investigators beelining toward them. But his eyes widened in understanding as he walked calmly toward their direction. But his gaze, which was on Lena particularly, warned, "Move." The taller investigator called out, Mom in the green jacket. Can we speak with you? Lena's feet rooted in place, and her pulse pounded in her ears. Her throat seemed to close up. Leo stepped between them. Is there any problem here, officers? This is not police business, the investigator said. We're corporate investigators working with federal authorities. We need to ask the woman a few questions. Lena backed away slowly. Leo cast her a sideways glance. Go. Mom, the investigator said sharply. Don't walk away. Abruptly, Lena started running. She sprinted behind the motel building, gripping her suitcase and duffel bag, breathing heavily. Her belly ached from the sudden movement, but adrenaline kept her going forward. The taller investigator called out, "Ma'am, stop!" But she didn't look back. She couldn't. She reached the chain-link fence behind the building and followed it, ducking behind garbage bins until she found a loose gap. She squeezed through, scraping her arm and ignoring the pain. Once on the other side, she ducked behind bushes and waited. Her breath took over the air as she crouched low, trembling. The investigators' voices echoed faintly. She didn't go far. We must find her wherever she is. Lena covered her mouth to muffle her breaths. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I can't do this, she whispered. I can't keep running. But she had to, at least for her child. When their footsteps faded, she crawled out, gripping the duffel and suitcase, and headed toward the woods bordering the town. She didn't have a plan, just distance. For her, distance was safety. Her legs shook beneath her, and her breath came in gasps. Every branch snapped under her feet. Every leaf crackled. She felt exposed, hunted. Finally, she reached a clearing and rested against a large tree. Her daughter kicked, sharp and insistent. "Please," Lena whispered, pressing her hand against her belly. "Not now, baby. We're okay. We're okay." But honestly, she wasn't sure they were. She checked her phone, and she saw 3 missed calls from the motel office, a voicemail from Ellie, a text from Leo which read, "They're looking for you. Where are you? Tell me you're safe." Her throat tightened. She wanted to reply, but anything she sent could be traced, and involving Leo further would only endanger him. So, she put the phone away. A twig snapped behind her, and she shot up, clutching the duffel bag to her chest. "Nicole!" Someone called out, and without thinking twice, she knew that was Leo's voice. And so he turned around. He jogged into the clearing as he kept on panting. "God, I've been looking everywhere for you. You run fast for someone carrying a 7-month belly and a duffel bag of whatever that is inside." She stiffened. "How did you find me?" "You drop breadcrumbs when you're panicked," he said simply. "Then again, I followed the footprints of the grass bent down." "What are you doing?" she whispered. "They'll question you." "They already did," Leo said. "I told them you freaked out and ran. Didn't tell them which direction." Her voice shook. "Leo, you shouldn't be involved in all of these, and so it's best you just avoid me." He nodded at the duffel bag. "You stole from those people." "No," she hissed, hugging it tighter. "I didn't steal anything. I found it at a bus stop, and I didn't know what it was until everything blew up." Leo rubbed a hand down his face. "Nicole, this is bad." "I know." Her voice cracked. "But I didn't do anything wrong, except trying to survive." Leo exhaled hard. "Look, I get it for real, but you can't stay in town. They know your face now, and they're going to assume the worst." Lena shook her head helplessly. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I have an idea," Leo said, "but you're not going to like it." She waited, trembling while Leo continued. "My cousin has a cabin out by the old quarry," Leo explained. "No one goes there. No one even remembers it exists. I can take you there tonight." "And then what?" "Then you take a chill for a moment," he said, "and figure out your next move." Lena hesitated, every survival instinct tangled with fear and exhaustion. But Leo's eyes held no judgment, only concern. He offered his hand. "Come on, let me help you." Slowly she took it. He led her through the trees toward a dirt road where his beat-up truck waited and its engine idling. She climbed in, her heart pounding. Leo lifted her suitcase into the back seat, then froze mid-motion. "Nicole!" Her heart stopped. "What?" He pointed at the duffel bag. "What's in there?" Her fingers tightened around the handle. "Leo, please don't ask." His jaw flexed, but he nodded. "Okay, not my business after all." Relief washed over her, until blue and red lights shined across the distant trees. Leo's eyes widened. "They're setting up a search perimeter." Lena's blood turned to ice. "Leo, go. Please, go." He jumped into the driver's seat and slammed the door. "Hold on." The truck lurched forward onto the dirt road as police drones buzzed faintly above the treetops. Lena clutched the duffel bag against her belly, praying for silence, for darkness, for invisibility, if possible. Leo pressed the accelerator. "Don't worry," he muttered. "They'll not catch up with us and we'll lose them." But Lena wasn't sure anyone could lose the truth forever. Leo kept his foot pressed to the accelerator as the truck bounced along the muddy dirt road. Branches of tress hit the windows, and the engine groaned in protest. But he didn't slow down. Lena held onto the door with one hand, the duffel bag with the other, praying the truck wouldn't skid into a ditch. Blue and red lights continued shining faintly behind them, muted by the dense woods. "Leo, they're getting closer," Lena whispered in tight breath. "They won't find us," he said, jaw clenched but eyes focused on the road. "These roads twist like a cooked spaghetti. Unless they grew up out here, they'll get lost." He took a sharp turn, and Lena's shoulder hit the door. She winced, leaning forward to ease the pressure on her belly. "You okay?" he asked, glancing at her. "Just drive," Lena breathed. "Please." Leo nodded and pushed the truck harder until the faint glow of the patrol lights finally disappeared behind them. Only then did he ease his foot off the accelerator. After another 10 minutes of weaving through back roads, the trees opened into a barren stretch of land. The old quarry was now in view, but it was silent, empty, and indeed looking forgotten. A single cabin sat near the edge, barely more than a wooden box with a roof. Leo parked in front of it. "We're here." Lena stared at the cabin, tension draining from her limbs. "It's remote." "That's the point." He got out and opened her door, offering support as she stepped down. "Come on. Let's get you inside." The night air was cold, biting at her skin. The world felt too quiet, like even the wind was holding its breath. Leo unlocked the door, and a musty smell popped out. He put on a light switch, and a single bulb came up. The cabin had a small table and a cot. "It's not much," he admitted, "but it's safe. No Wi-Fi, no cell reception, and no nosy neighbors." "It's perfect," Lena said softly. He carried in her suitcase. Lena placed the duffel bag on the floor next to the cot, her fingers resting on it as anxiety twisted her stomach. If anyone found her with that money, she wouldn't just be questioned, she'd be arrested this time. Leo sat on the edge of the table and studied her. "Nicole, you need to tell me the truth. Are you in danger?" She sank onto the cot, exhaustion resting heavily on her shoulders. "I don't know." "Do you trust me?" Leo went on to ask. Her eyes lifted to meet his warm, worried, and steady eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "I do." "Then talk to me," he said gently. "I know it feels heavy and probably you don't even know how or where to state, but you can start anywhere. She exhaled shakily. My husband, Adrian. He decided I wasn't useful anymore. He replaced me with someone else, kicked me out. His mother pushed me out the door like trash. Her voice trembled. I slept at a bus stop, and that's where I found the duffel bag. I didn't know what was inside until I opened it at the motel. And when you saw the money? Leo asked. I panicked. I thought it might be stolen, or drug money, or... God, I don't even know what I was thinking at that point. But I was homeless, pregnant, alone. I just needed... something. Leo leaned back, studying her with a mix of sympathy and worry. And now Adrian is saying you helped him steal it. Lena nodded, fear tightening her throat. He showed up at my motel room last night. He begged for my help. But I didn't give him anything. I didn't even open the door for him. Leo rubbed his forehead. This is a mess. But I believe you. Tears lined her eyes. Why? You barely know me. Because you don't act like someone who did something wrong, he said simply. You only act like someone who's trying to survive. Her breath hitched. He stood. I'll go get few things you would be needing for the moment you will be staying here. Just stay inside and lock the door behind me. When he stepped outside, she did as he said, bolting the door, and then she got herself distracted by listening to the quiet crackle of the old cabin settling. Her phone beeped, and for no specific reason, her heart jumped. She grabbed the phone from her coat pocket. A text notification flashed across the screen. Unknown number. You can't hide from this forever. Her stomach knotted, but she managed to type shakily. Who is this? 3 small dots appeared. Then, bring me the money, Lena, or everything gets worse. She dropped the phone, terror gripping her lungs. It wasn't Adrian. He never called her by her first name. It was always Lena, said with irritation, or Mrs. Hartley in public. This message felt colder and even more dangerous. She typed again with trembling fingers. Who are you? But she got no answer this time. She blocked the number, but dread seeped into her bones. When Leo returned, stomping snow off his boots, he noticed her pale face immediately. What happened? Someone texted me. She handed him the phone. They know I have the money. Leo's jaw hardened. Nicole, whoever sent that, they're close. People don't text threats unless they know they can find you. Her breath came in small, panicked bursts. What do we do? First, Leo said, dropping the things he bought, and crossed the room to kneel in front of her. You breathe. Second, we stay ready for whatever it is. No one knows about this cabin except my cousin and I. And my cousin is in Nevada. Lena tried to calm herself, and also tried to steady her breaths. The baby kicked again, harder this time. Leo placed a hesitant hand near her stomach. She's scared, just like you. Lena's eyes stung. I can't bring her into chaos. I can't. You won't, he said firmly. I'll help you. Whatever it takes. She looked up at him, hope shining through weakly. Why? You don't owe me anything. Leo shrugged lightly. People helped me when I was down. Might as well pay it to others that need my help. Before Lena could respond, a loud crack sounded outside the cabin. It was a twig snapping, and even Leo froze immediately. Someone's out there, he whispered. Lena's blood ran cold. She clutched her stomach and the duffel bag simultaneously, every instinct screaming danger. Leo motioned for her to stay silent. He grabbed a heavy metal flashlight from the table and moved to the window, peeping through the cracked blinds. His entire body tensed. There's a car parked on the road, he whispered. Black. No headlights. Someone is standing beside it. Lena covered her mouth to keep her from gasping out loud. "Leo," she trembled. "What if they followed us?" "They couldn't have," he said, but his voice wavered. Another twig cracked, and footsteps approached, closer and closer. A slow knock came through on the cabin door in 3 soft taps. Then a voice, low, smooth, and unfamiliar, slid through the air. "Lena Hartley," the stranger called. "We need to talk." Lena's heart stopped. Leo whispered, "They found you. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Every story we will share is a spark of hope, giving a voice, a future, and a chance to young women and children out there who have faced challenges one way or the other over the world. So support us by subscribing and turning on the notification bell so you never miss a story that truly matters. And we will want to hear from you. So, drop a comment and tell us where you are watching from and how the story touched you. Together, we are not just watching stories unfold, we are keeping hope of a better tomorrow. Leo stepped back from the window, gripping the flashlight like a weapon. "Don't make a sound," he whispered, barely audible. Lena froze on the cot, her arms wrapped protectively around her stomach. The knock came again. 3 slow taps, deliberate and steady. It was obvious that whoever was outside wasn't afraid. They weren't uncertain. They were confident, and they knew she was inside. "Lena Hartley," the voice repeated, gentler now but dripping with authority. "Open the door. You won't be harmed." Leo shot Lena a sharp look. "Don't believe him." She shook her head silently, and her pulse thudded painfully against her ribs. The stranger's shoes crunched against snow as he shifted position. "We can talk like reasonable adults," he said. "Or we can do this the hard way. So you choose." Leo mouthed to Lena, "Do not answer." Lena's throat felt dry, and her hands shook around the duffel bag handle. The little life inside her pressed against her ribs like she, too, sensed danger. The man knocked once more, harder this time. "Lena." Leo raised a finger. "Wait." The cabin was silent, except for the faint hiss of cold wind sneaking through the window cracks. Lena forced herself to breathe slowly, evenly, though panic clawed at her lungs. Then the stranger exhaled, long, annoyed. "Fine. If you won't talk to me, maybe you'll talk to someone else." There was a click of a phone call after a few seconds of silence. Then the man said, "Adrian wants to speak with you." Lena's blood iced over. "No, no, no." The phone's speaker crackled. "Lena?" Adrian's voice was raw and desperate. "Please, open the door." She squeezed her eyes shut, fighting tears. "Why won't he leave me alone?" "Lena," Adrian said, voice breaking. "I'm in custody. They're letting me call you only because I begged. For me, please let him in. I swear, you'll be safe." Leo nearly cursed under his breath. "He's manipulating you," he whispered. "Shut it," Adrian snapped through the phone, apparently hearing him. "Whoever you are, you're making this worse than what it already is." Leo moved toward the door, standing between Lena and the threat outside. "She doesn't want to talk to you, so get lost." The stranger's tone dropped. "This is not your concern. It became my concern the moment you showed up with your creepy midnight knock," Leo fired back. The stranger gave a humorless, almost chuckle. "You're brave. I'll give you that. But you're out of your depth." Lena grabbed Leo's sleeve, whispering frantically, "Please don't antagonize him." The stranger cleared his throat. "Last chance, Lena. Open the door." Her heart pounded. And then she looked at Leo. "We need to get out. Now." He nodded. "There's a back window. It leads to the trees. He can't see it from the road." Adrian's voice crackled through the phone. Lena, if you run, you're proving them right. They already think you're involved. They think you stole the money. I didn't, she cried before she could stop herself. Outside, the stranger spoke smoothly. Then open the door. Leo motioned urgently for her to follow him. Ignore them. Come on. Lena grabbed the duffel bag, wincing at its weight. Leo moved a small dresser away from the back window and unlatched it, and the cold night air rushed in. Leo whispered, "Ladies first." She hesitated, a single second, but it was enough. The stranger outside said, "Very well," in a tone that chilled her blood. A heavy thud slammed into the front door. Lena flinched violently. Then there was another thud, and the old wood groaned louder than before. "He's breaking in," Leo hissed. He boosted her toward the window. She maneuvered her belly awkwardly, slipping one leg through. The duffel bag caught on the frame, but she pulled it harder. Adrian's voice on the phone was frantic. "Lena, don't run! Lena!" Another crash shook the cabin. Leo shoved the duffel bag through the window and helped her out next. "Go! I'll be right behind you!" "No, Leo, come with me now. Please!" she begged. But he stayed one heartbeat longer to jam the dresser against the door. She scrambled through the snow toward the tree line, heart clawing at her throat. "Leo, come on!" He leapt through the window as the cabin door finally burst open behind them. They heard the stranger shout, "Go around the back! She's escaping!" Leo landed beside her, grabbed her arm, and dragged her into the woods. "Run!" Her legs burned as every breath stabbed her lungs. Her belly felt heavy, tight, too tight, and fear surged inside her, making her stumble. "Leo, please, slow down," she gasped. He glanced at her belly, eyes widening in fear. "You okay?" A sharp pain sliced through her abdomen. I don't know. "Just a little farther," he urged. "There's a ravine ahead. They'll lose our trail." Branches from the trees whipped her arms and snow soaked her shoes. The duffel bag thumped painfully against her leg as she ran. Behind them, flashlights flashed through the darkness. "She went this way. Footprints are still fresh," Leo cursed and tightened his grip on Lena's hand. "We need to hide." "How?" she panted. He pulled her toward a fallen tree with a hollow trunk. "Here." They ducked inside just as footsteps approached. Lena held her breath. Her daughter kicked violently, responding to her mother's terror. Two shadows passed nearby, one tall and broad, the other lean and sharp. The stranger's voice was low and simmering. "Find her. She's close." The second man grunted. "Boss, if she has the money." "She does," the stranger said with certainty. "She has something that doesn't belong to her, and she thinks she can just hide." He stepped closer to the fallen tree. Lena's heart nearly stopped. She covered her mouth, terrified the sound of her breathing would give them away. The stranger crouched, inspecting the ground. Leo silently reached for Lena's hand, squeezing it gently, as if to say, "I'm here. Don't break." After a long, excruciating moment, the stranger straightened. "Footprints continue that way," he said to the second man. "Go." They followed the false trail. Lena collapsed against Leo, trembling uncontrollably. They almost... "I know," he whispered. "But it's okay. They're gone." A sob tore from her chest. "Why is this happening to me? Why won't they leave me alone?" Leo brushed her hair out of her face, gently. "Because you're holding the one thing everyone wants, either for money or for leverage." Lena clutched the duffel bag, tears streaking down her cheeks. "I didn't ask for any of this." "I know." His voice softened. "But you're stronger than you think." She looked at him, eyes glistening. "What do we do now?" Before he could answer, Another stab of pain tore through her belly. She gasped, grabbing Leo's shirt. "Leo, something's wrong." His face drained of color. "Is it the baby?" "Lena, what kind of pain?" Her breath hitched. "Sharp. Too sharp, and I can't breathe." Leo's voice shook. "We need to get you to a hospital. Now!" Lena shook her head violently. "No, they'll find me. The investigators. They'll arrest me." "Your life matters more than your fear," Leo said firmly. "And so does your daughter's. We don't have a choice." She whimpered, doubling over. "Lena," Leo said, gripping her shoulders. "If you don't get help, you could die." Her vision blurred and her knees buckled, but Leo caught her. "Stay with me," he pleaded. "Lena, stay with me." But the darkness surged, overwhelming and unstoppable. She felt herself slipping under. The last thing she heard was Leo whispering desperately into the night. "Hold on, please, hold on." Leo lifted her limp body into his arms, panic twisting inside him like barbed wire. Snow crunched beneath his boots as he carried her out from behind the fallen tree and into the open darkness. Her head lolled against his chest, breaths shallow and uneven. "Come on, Lena. Don't you dare quit on me now," he whispered, his voice cracking. The cold wind bit at his face, but sweat beaded on his forehead as he stumbled toward his truck. Every shadow, every crackle of movement in the woods made him fear the men would return. He scanned the darkness constantly, terrified of seeing flashlights or hearing footsteps. "Hurry," he begged himself. "Just hurry." Lena moaned weakly, her hand instinctively pressing against her belly. "That's it," he whispered. "Talk to me, okay? Stay with me." But her eyelids fluttered uncontrollably. Her fingers twitched and fell still. Leo's heart clenched. "No, no! Lena, please!" He reached the truck, almost slipping on the icy ground as he fumbled with the door handle. He placed her gently in the passenger seat, buckled her in, and tossed the duffel bag onto the floor by her feet. He stared at the bag for a half-second. This cursed thing, the root of everything. Then he forced himself away and jumped into the driver's seat. He turned on the ignition. The truck sputtered. "No, no, don't you dare," he muttered, slamming his palm against the dashboard. The engine roared to life, and Leo floored it. Tires spun before gripping the frozen dirt, and the truck lurched forward, fishtailing once before stabilizing. Come on, stay alive," he whispered, though he wasn't sure whether he meant the truck or the woman beside him. Lena's head rolled toward him. Her skin looked drained of color, almost gray in the dim cabin light. He grabbed her hand. "Hey, look at me. You hear me? You're gonna be fine. I'm getting you help." Her lips parted, but only a small, pained gasp escaped her. Her breathing hitched. A contraction seized her abdomen so violently she arched off the seat. Leo reached across with one hand, steadying her as he kept the truck on the narrow road with the other. "Hold on, Lena. Just a little longer." Her fingernails dug into his arm. "It hurts. Something's wrong." "I know," he said, voice trembling. "I know, but we're close." He wasn't sure if that was true. They were at least 20 minutes from the nearest clinic, but he needed her to believe it. As he sped down the snowy road, headlights cut through the darkness. His eyes shifted to the mirror, and there were no cars coming or trailing them. Thank God. He turned onto the main road and pushed the truck harder. The speedometer needle climbed higher than it had in years. "Leo," Lena whispered, barely audible. "I'm here. Don't let them find me." "They won't," he swore. "Not while I'm breathing." She tried to speak again, but a sob tore out instead. She doubled over, gripping her stomach. Leo could almost feel her pain. "Just breathe," he said. I've got you. Just breathe. Suddenly, her breath caught. Then she stopped breathing altogether. Lena! Leo shouted, slamming on the brakes so hard the truck skidded sideways. He grabbed her shoulders, shaking lightly. Hey, hey! Open your eyes! But there was no response from her. Terror exploded through him. He reached for her pulse, but it was faint. Too faint. Don't do this, he whispered as his voice was breaking. Don't you dare do this! He immediately threw the truck back into gear and sped forward again, faster than before, swerving around potholes and icy patches. The clinic sign appeared in the distance. Hold on, we're here! He raced into the parking lot, slammed the truck into park, and ran out to the passenger side. He scooped Lena into his arms again, her body limp and her face ashen. Help! He shouted toward the glass doors. Somebody help! 2 nurses ran out before he reached the entrance. Oh my God, one gasped. She's pregnant. How far has she gone with it? 7 months, Leo stammered. She collapsed. She's barely breathing. They rolled a gurney toward him, and he gently placed her on it. Get her to trauma room 2, the nurse barked. Call the OB surgeon, now. They rushed her inside. Leo tried to follow, but a security guard held him back. Sir, you need to wait out here. He wanted to argue, to fight, to scream that he had to be there with her. But Lena was taken in behind the swinging emergency doors, and he was left staring at empty space. He paced the lobby like a caged animal, running his hands through his hair, replaying the night again and again. He didn't sit. He didn't blink. He barely breathed. He didn't even notice 2 officers entering the waiting area until one said, Are you Leo Santos? Leo stiffened and turned slowly. 2 uniformed police officers approached. Yes, he said cautiously. We need to ask you about a woman named Lena Hartley, the first officer said. Or Nicole Hale, as she's been calling herself. Leo's pulse spiked. She's in there fighting for her life. Can this wait? The second officer shook his head. We're sorry. It can't. At that same moment, a doctor pushed through the swinging doors. She scanned the room, spotted Leo, and approached with a grave expression. Leo rushed toward her. How is she? Is she alive? She's stable for now, the doctor said, but she's experiencing severe preterm labor. We're preparing for an emergency C-section. The baby is in distress. Leo swallowed hard and tears filled his eyes. But is she going to make it? If everything goes smoothly, the doctor said gently. But we need her consent. Does she have any family? A partner? Leo shook his head. No. No one. The officer stepped forward. We're her contact. The doctor frowned. Are you relatives? No, the officer said, but she's involved in an open investigation. We need to speak with her immediately. Leo snapped. She's fighting for her life. She can't answer your damn questions right now. The second officer's jaw tightened. Watch yourself. Leo stepped forward until they were almost nose to nose. If you go in there and stress her out, you could kill her and her baby. Do you understand that? Silence thickened between them. Finally, the first officer sighed. We'll wait. But we're not leaving. Leo turned away from them, shaking with rage. He pressed his forehead against the wall, whispering, Please, Lena, fight for your life. Fight for the life of your child. Minutes turned into an eternity. Every tick of the clock stabbed at him. Finally, a nurse approached. She's conscious, the nurse said, but weak. If you want to see her, do it now. Leo rushed inside. Lena lay on a hospital bed, hooked to monitors, her hair damp with sweat and her eyes half open. Leo, she whispered. He grabbed her hand. I'm here. I'm right here. Her lips quivered. Baby is coming earlier than it should. I know. But they're taking care of you. She squeezed his hand as another contraction shook her. A moan escaped her, raw and pained. Lena, he whispered, brushing her hair from her forehead. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Her eyes welled with tears. I don't want to lose her. You won't, he promised. Not on my watch. Then the doctor reappeared. It's time. They began to wheel her toward the operating room. Lena looked at Leo with terrified eyes. Don't. Leave. I'm right behind you, he said, but the doctor held up a hand. Only medical staff past this point. Lena's hand slipped from his, and Leo's heart cracked. Leo, she whispered as the doors swung closed. Don't let them take her. Don't let them take my baby. Then she disappeared behind the operating room doors. Leo stood alone in the corridor, fists clenched, tears burning his eyes, and whispered to the empty hallway. I won't let anything happen to either of you. Leo stood frozen in the hallway long after Lena was wheeled inside the operating room. His breath came in uneven gulps, and his pulse loud enough to drown out the hospital noise around him. He didn't know how long he stood there until footsteps approached. It was the officers again. Mr. Santos, the first officer said, less harsh now. We need to ask you a few questions about Miss Hartley. Leo exhaled sharply, fighting the urge to shove them against the wall. I told you, she's in surgery. And we're not trying to interfere, the second officer added. But she's connected to a federal-level fraud case, money laundering, embezzlement. She's listed as a possible accomplice. Leo's anger flared. She's not an accomplice. She's a victim. The first officer crossed his arms. What do you mean by that? Leo hesitated. His loyalty to Lena burned fiercely, but lies could make things worse. The truth, twisted the wrong way, could destroy her. He swallowed hard. You saw her condition. You think someone that pregnant, that scared, is masterminding a crime? It wouldn't be the first time, the second officer said. Leo stepped closer. You're wrong about her. All she's ever done is try to survive what her husband did to her. The officers exchanged a look, a silent conversation Leo couldn't decode. Before they could continue, the intercom beeped overhead. Code blue in OR3. Code blue in OR3. Leo's heart dropped because, to the best of his knowledge, OR3 was Lena's operating room. He didn't wait, and so he ran down the hall, ignoring the shouts behind him. He slammed against the window of the OR observation area. Inside, chaos erupted everywhere in the operating room. Doctors surrounded Lena. Nurses called out vitals, and a machine beeped frantically. Her body trembled on the operating table. Leo pressed a hand to the glass. No. No, please. The lead surgeon barked. Her blood pressure is crashing. We're losing her. A nurse clutched a tiny baby wrapped in towels, rushing it toward another team across the room. Leo's eyes widened. The baby. He looked again at Lena. Her face was ghost white, her lips blue and her chest barely rising. Start compressions, the surgeon shouted. Leo's knees buckled. He slid to the floor outside the OR window, fingers gripping his hair. Please, he whispered. Please don't let her die. Minutes swept away into each other. Every second stretched like a lifetime, and he pressed his forehead to the cold glass, tears streaming freely. Then a shrill cry filled the room. That was obviously the baby's voice, and so Leo looked up sharply. The infant was small, fragile, and wrapped in a blanket, was screaming, and is very alive. A nurse rushed the newborn to an incubator, speaking quickly to another doctor. Baby female, premature, breathing weak but stable. Prepare neonatal support. Leo let out a breath that felt like it came from his soul. Thank God. But Lena still lay unmoving. Her chest heaved once, then slowed. "Again!" the surgeon shouted. "Charge to 150!" The defibrillator pads pressed to her chest, and in turn, the shock jolted her entire body. Leo flinched violently. "Still no other rhythm is formed. Charging to 200. There was another shock, and the beeping flattened. Leo whispered, "Please, please, Lena, fight!" The surgeon leaned over her, voice growing urgent. "Don't you do this. Stay with us. Come on." Then, there was a weak blip on the monitor. Another shock was administered to her chest, and then a faint rhythm was continually forming. The surgeon exhaled. "We've got her. Stabilize her and prepare her for transfusion." Leo collapsed into a chair, shaking. His entire body trembled with relief, so powerful it left him numb. One nurse stepped out moments later, removing her gloves. "Mr. Santos." Leo stood so fast he almost fell. "Is she—" "She's alive," the nurse said gently. "It was close. Very close. She lost a lot of blood and went into severe distress. But we got her back." He brushed a trembling hand over his face. "And the baby?" "She's been moved to neonatal intensive care. She's tiny, but she's a fighter just like her mother." A weak smile appeared through Leo's tears. "Yeah, sure. Indeed, like her mum." The nurse hesitated before continuing. "She hasn't named the baby yet." "Would you like to see her?" Leo nodded instantly. "Yes, please." As they walked toward neonatal care, the officers followed at a distance, still shadowing him. Leo paused at the viewing room. Inside, rows of incubators were there, each housing a tiny miracle in form of a baby. The nurse led him to one on the far right. A tiny baby lay inside, eyes closed, chest rising and falling in delicate rhythm. Her fingers were barely the size of sunflower seeds. "She's beautiful," Leo whispered. The nurse smiled. "She's strong. She came into the world fighting." Leo gently placed a hand against the glass. "Hang in there, little one." He stayed there for a long moment, until a new sound echoed behind him, more like footsteps. It was the officers that approached him, and then the first officer cleared his throat. "Mr. Santos, when Miss Hartley is stable enough, she will need to answer questions. Until then, we need to take your statement in full." Leo's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "Fine. But don't go near her until the doctors say she's ready." "We won't," the officer said. "Our priority is the money, and right now, she's the only lead." Leo ignored the implication and followed them to a quiet corner of the hallway. "Let's start simple," the officer said, flipping a notepad open. "What's your relationship to Ms. Hartley?" Leo took a deep breath. "I'm a friend, a co-worker, and the only person she trusted when everything went wrong." "And the duffel bag she's been carrying?" Leo paused. "Not mine. I never touched it. I don't know what's inside." The second officer narrowed his eyes. "Mr. Santos, you expect us to believe that?" Leo looked him dead in the eye. "I expect you to respect that she's fighting for her life while you're hounding a man who's trying to help her." Before the officer could respond, a voice cut through the hallway. "Excuse me." Everyone turned. A doctor stood there, having his glasses, tired eyes and surgical cap still on. He held a clipboard. "Are you here for Miss Hartley?" "Yes," Leo said immediately. The doctor hesitated. "She's asking for you." Leo's heart leapt. "She's awake?" "Barely," the doctor warned. "She's weak and disoriented, but conscious enough to speak. We don't know how long she'll stay awake." Leo didn't wait. He strode past the officers and followed the doctor down the hall. They entered Lena's recovery room. She lay propped up on pillows, pale but alive. Her eyes fluttered open as Leo approached. He sat beside her, taking her hand gently. "Hey," he whispered. Her lips trembled. "Baby, is she okay?" "She's perfect," Leo said, voice thick. "She's small, but she's strong. She screamed louder than any baby I've ever heard." A fragile smile formed on Lena's face as tears of joy filled her eyes. "Can I see her?" "Soon," the doctor said. "But first, we need to stabilize your vitals." Lena squeezed Leo's hand. "Thank you for saving us." "No," he said softly. "You saved yourself. I just helped." He brushed her hair from her forehead. Then Lena whispered something that made Leo straighten in alarm. "They're still coming for me." Leo swallowed. "Not tonight. You're safe here." "No," she whispered. "You don't understand. Adrian. He didn't act alone." Leo froze. "What do you mean?" Lena's eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "The money. It doesn't belong to the company. It belonged to someone else." Leo's breath caught. "Who?" Her voice was barely audible. "The man at the cabin. They call him the broker. Adrian was hiding the money from him." Leo felt the world tilt around him in 360 degrees. "And now," Lena whispered, voice trembling, "he wants it back." Leo felt the temperature in the room drop. Even the monitors seemed to beep slower, as if absorbing the weight of her words. "The broker," he repeated quietly, leaning in so Lena wouldn't have to strain her voice. "Lena, who is he?" Lena swallowed painfully, wincing as the movement tugged at her stitches. "Adrian used to whisper about him on the phone, late at night. They argued a lot. He said he owed him favors. Money, power, stuffs like that." Her voice cracked. "I thought it was business. I didn't know it was criminal." Leo's jaw tightened. "And the money in the duffel bag? It wasn't Cross Dynamics' money," she whispered. "It was the broker's. Adrian hid it, then lost track of it. He thought maybe I took it. That was why he came after me. Not because he wanted me." Her eyes filled with tears. "But because he wanted the money." Leo squeezed her hand gently. "He doesn't deserve even a single tear from you." Lena looked down, ashamed. "I didn't know who the bag belonged to, but now he does. And he's looking for me." Before Leo could respond, the door opened and 2 nurses entered. One checked Lena's IV, the other adjusted her monitors. "We need to run a few tests and take her blood pressure," a nurse said kindly. "It's routine. She's still weak." Leo nodded and stood, but Lena tightened her grip on his hand. "Don't leave." He leaned close. "I'll be right outside. I promise." She released him reluctantly. Leo stepped into the hallway. The officers were waiting there, arms crossed, faces tight with suspicion. "Well?" the first officer demanded. "Did she say anything relevant?" Leo glared at him. "She's recovering from major surgery. She's barely awake and you will wait." The second officer smirked. "Funny how concerned you are for a woman you just met." Leo clenched his fists. "Sometimes you don't need years to know someone deserves protection." The officers exchanged a glance, but before they could say more, the hospital lights flickered. Just once. Then again. There was a power dip. Nurses looked up from their stations, and machines beeped. A security guard stepped out of the elevator, looking confused. Leo stiffened. "What's happening?" A nurse called out. "Backup generators aren't supposed to kick in unless—" Then after, the lights went out. Complete darkness swallowed the corridor. Several people gasped. A baby cried somewhere in the distance. Alarms from machines beeped, struggling to reboot. Leo's heart pounded. This wasn't normal. Something was wrong. A second later, dim emergency lights came on, but only in certain sections. Not all of them. The officer muttered. "This isn't a standard outage." Leo's stomach twisted. "No, it's not." He sprinted toward Lena's room. "Hey!" one of the officers barked. "You can't—" Leo ignored him and burst through the door, only to find it empty. The bed was there, and the blankets rumpled. The machines were buzzing, but no Lena was nowhere to be found there. "No, no, no! Lena!" Leo shouted, spinning around in panic. The attending nurse stumbled in behind him, equally confused. "She was here a minute ago. We only stepped out to get supplies. She can't have walked." "She didn't walk," Leo snapped. "Someone took her." A cold dread swept the room. "Code red, patient missing," the nurse yelled into her radio. "Repeat, missing patient from recovery room 4. Alarms began echoing faintly through the hospital. The first officer shoved into the room. "What happened?" Leo rounded on him. "You left her unguarded. Did you think the people hunting her would politely wait in the lobby?" The officer stiffened, guilt flashing across his face. "Get security on every exit, now!" But Leo wasn't waiting for them. He looked around the room, scanning every detail. Then he saw it, the curtains by the window fluttering. He rushed over, throwing them aside. The window was unlocked, a faint footprint pressed against the sill. A man's boot, heavy and deliberate. "They got her through here," Leo whispered. The officers came to stand beside him. "From the outside," one murmured. "At the second-floor window. Who would even try that?" Leo's answer chilled them both. "The broker." The officers exchanged a horrified look. Leo didn't hesitate. He climbed onto the window ledge. "Where do you think you're going?" the officer barked. "To get her back," Leo growled angrily. The officers grabbed his arms. "You're not trained for this." "I don't care." Leo strained against them. "She just had surgery. She can't fight. She can't run. And she has a newborn who needs her. She'll die if we don't find her." His raw desperation froze both officers. Finally, the first officer released his grip. "We do this together," he said quietly. "Otherwise, you'll get yourself killed." Leo swallowed hard, but nodded. "Then move." A hospital security guard rushed into the hall. "We caught something on the stairwell camera. A man carrying a woman down the back exit." Leo's heart hammered. "Where?" "Service corridor. West side. He's heading for the parking structure." The officers bolted. Leo sprinted after them. They flew down the emergency stairs, the air thick with adrenaline. Leo ignored the burning in his legs and the pounding in his chest. He could only think of Lena, who must be weak, bleeding and terrified, being carried away into the night. They burst through the lower-level door into the service corridor. It was silent, too silent. Leo scanned the dim hallway. "Which way?" The officer pointed left. "This leads to the parking garage." They ran toward the exit. But halfway there, a scream echoed faintly. Lena's scream. Leo froze instantly. "She's here. She's still here." The officers drew their weapons. "Stay behind us." "Not a chance," Leo muttered, rushing forward. They reached a metal fire door. The second officer kicked it open. The parking structure loomed before them, dark, cold, echoing with distant drips of water. And there, at the far end, a black SUV idled with its rear door open. A man stood beside it, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark coat. The broker. Lena lay slumped in his arms, barely conscious, her hospital gown torn and her face pale. Leo felt fire ignite inside him. "Lena!" The broker turned his head slowly and smiled. "You're persistent," he said in a calm, silky voice. "But this is not your concern." "Put her down!" Leo shouted. "She owes me something," the broker replied. "And debt must be paid." Lena stirred weakly. "Or... Leo." Her voice sounded so weak, Leo took a step forward. "You don't need her. Take the money instead." The broker tilted his head. "Oh, I intend to. But I also need to make sure she hasn't spoken to anyone she shouldn't have." He tightened his grip on Lena's shoulder. She cried out softly. Leo lunged forward, but the officer yanked him back. "Stop! He'll hurt her." The broker sighed. Enough of this. He shoved Lena into the back seat and swung the SUV's door shut. Then the driver stomped the accelerator. The SUV screeched backward, swung around, and tore toward the exit ramp. Leo broke free of the officer's grip and sprinted after the vehicle. "Lena!" His scream echoed across the space, but the SUV disappeared into the night. Leo fell to his knees, breath ripping from his lungs. "No," he whispered. "No. No. No." The officers caught up to him, panting. "We'll issue an immediate alert," one said. "Roadblocks, APBs." Leo turned, eyes burning. "Find him." "We will." "Not enough," Leo growled, pushing to his feet. "I'm not waiting for paperwork. I'm going after her." The officer grabbed his shoulder. "You're emotional, but we need strategy and resources." Leo looked him dead in the eye. "She's out there bleeding," he said. "She's helpless. She fought to stay alive for that baby. Now I'll fight for her." He shoved the officer's hand off. "I'm going to bring her back," Leo whispered. "Even if it kills me." Leo bolted out of the parking structure, bursting into the icy air as the officers scrambled behind him. He scanned the dark streets desperately. Tire tracks cut sharply across the snow toward the highway, already fading beneath fresh flurries. The broker had a head start. But Leo had something stronger. He had purpose. He sprinted toward his truck, his breath steaming and keys shaking in his hand. One of the officers grabbed his arm. "Leo, stop! You can't chase a man like the broker alone." Leo forcefully let go of his hand. "Watch me." He threw himself into the driver's seat and started the engine. The truck roared to life, like it understood what was at stake. The officers stood there, helplessly, as Leo tore out of the lot, tires squealing on the icy pavement. "Damn it," one officer yelled. "We just lost him." "Not for long," the other muttered. "The kid's got guts." But guts weren't what moved Leo forward. Love was. Not romantic love. Something deeper, rawer. He wouldn't lose Lena. Not to Adrian, not to the broker, not to fate. He followed the SUV's tracks through the snow onto the highway. The night swallowed the world, but Leo's determination burned bright enough to cut through the darkness. "Hold on, Lena," he whispered. "I'm coming." His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Leo answered immediately. "Where is she?" A low chuckle answered him. "Relax, Mr. Santos. She's still breathing." Leo gripped the wheel so tight his knuckles whitened. "If you touch her, calm yourself. I don't hurt women, let alone one that just put to bed. I'm not a monster," the broker said casually. "But I am a businessman, and she owes me." "She owes you nothing," Leo shouted. "She owes me $10 million, the broker corrected. "Her husband stole it from me. She ran off with it." "She didn't know," Leo roared. "She found it." "Found," the broker repeated, amused. Such a small word for such a large sum. The SUV's taillights appeared faintly in the distance. Leo hit the accelerator. The broker laughed softly. "Ah, there you are." Leo leaned out the window, shouting into the night, "Let her go!" The broker didn't respond, but his SUV suddenly sped up. Leo cursed and floored the accelerator. The truck rattled dangerously, but it kept going. The SUV veered off the highway onto a snowy service road, leading toward the cliffs by Ridgewater Lake. Leo's stomach clenched. The cliffs were steep, icy, deadly. "Don't do this," he whispered to no one particularly. The SUV skidded to a stop near the cliff's edge. The broker dragged Lena out of the back seat. She was barely conscious, her feet slipping on the ice. Leo slammed his brakes so hard the truck fishtailed before stopping 20 yards away. He jumped out as he felt his heart in his throat. "Let her go!" The broker held Lena shivering against him, one arm around her shoulders, the other gripping her wrist loosely, not hurting her, but controlling her. "You want her back?" he called. "Then give me what belongs to me." Leo grabbed the duffel bag from his truck. "Here, it's here." The broker's eyes gleamed. "Good. Bring it." "Let her go first." "No," the broker said. "She's insurance." Lena moaned softly, her knees buckling. The broker steadied her. For a brief moment, he almost looked regretful. Leo stepped forward cautiously. The wind cut into his face, icy and relentless. Snow swirled around them. "She had nothing to do with this," Leo said, voice hoarse. "She didn't steal from you. She didn't even know what was in that bag. She's just a scared, pregnant woman trying to survive." The broker's jaw twitched. "There are no innocents in Adrian Cross's world." "She doesn't belong to Adrian's world," Leo yelled. "She escaped it." The broker stared at him, unreadable. Leo lowered his voice. "She's someone's mother. Someone who almost died tonight. Someone who's been hurt enough. You don't need her. You need the money. That's it." The broker glanced down at Lena, her fragile form trembling against him. Something shifted in his expression, a flicker of guilt, or perhaps recognition of suffering. Wind whipped harder, and the cliff groaned under the weight of packed snow. Finally, the broker said softly, "Put the bag down. 10 feet ahead." Leo nodded and slowly stepped forward, placing the duffel bag on the icy ground. The broker shoved Lena gently toward Leo. She stumbled, falling into Leo's arms. He caught her, pulling her close. "I've got you," he whispered fiercely. "You're safe now." Lena blinked weakly. "But, Leo." But safety was still too far away. The moment Leo turned with Lena, a crack echoed beneath them. Ice shifted, and the cliff edge trembled. "Move," Leo shouted. But the ground split already. The duffel bag slid toward the cliff. The broker lunged to grab it, but the ice gave way completely. The broker and the bag plunged over the edge, vanishing into the darkness below. "No!" Leo yelled, instinctively grabbing Lena tighter and stumbling backward away from the crumbling ground. A loud crash echoed from far below, the sound of metal, ice, and water colliding. Silence followed. Leo held Lena tightly, chest heaving. Snow fell silently around them. "He's gone," Lena whispered weakly. Leo nodded slowly. "It's over." Moments later, sirens filled the air as police vehicles arrived, lights flashing across the snow. Officers rushed toward them, helping steady Lena and escorting them away from the danger zone. A paramedic took Lena from Leo's arms. "We've got her." Leo followed close behind, unwilling to let her out of sight again. Hours later, back at the hospital, Lena lay in a quiet room, wrapped in warm blankets. Leo sat beside her. "You saved me," she whispered, voice frail but steady. Leo shook his head. "You saved yourself. I just refused to let you stop fighting." She smiled weakly. "My daughter. She's beautiful," Leo said. "She's waiting for you." Lena reached out and took his hand. "Thank you. For everything." Leo squeezed her fingers gently. "I'll be here. As long as you need." Days passed. Lena recovered slowly. The authorities cleared her name. The broker's disappearance, Adrian's confession, and surveillance footage proved she wasn't involved. Adrian was sentenced. Marissa too. Lena held her newborn daughter for the first time, tiny, warm, and the moment that she fought for every breath flashed through her memory. She named her Divine Hope months later, with a small grant from a community program and donations from people who heard her story. Lena opened a support center for single mothers escaping abuse and poverty. She called it the Divine Hope. Her daughter's name, her new hope, her new purpose, her rebirth. Women came through its doors broken, scared, abandoned, just like she had been. Lena held them close, listened to their stories, and helped them rebuild. She wasn't a victim anymore. She was a guiding light. Evelyn visited once, humbled, older and stripped of pride. She apologized. Lena forgave her, not for Evelyn's sake, but for her own peace. Leo stayed by Lena's side, helping with the center, the baby, the sleepless nights, not demanding anything, not expecting anything, just being there. One afternoon, Lena stood at the door of the Divine Hope, holding her daughter. Leo approached with a smile and a cup of tea. "You okay?" he asked. Lena looked out at the women entering the center and smiled softly. "Yeah, I finally am." Her daughter cooed in her arms, tiny fingers curling around Lena's thumb. Lena kissed Divine Hope's forehead. "You saved me," she whispered. "And now, we save others." Leo touched her shoulder gently. "You changed everything, Lena." "No," she said, eyes warm. "We did." And together, they stepped into the light of a future she never thought she'd have, a future built from pain, rebirth, resilience, and hope. To everyone watching this story unfold, remember, no matter how dark your storm, there's always a way forward. Fight for yourself, take control, and never let betrayal define you. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss more gripping stories like this one. Your support helps the channel grow and brings more powerful stories to life. Thank you for watching. Until the next story, stay strong, stay hopeful, stay inspired,